Welcome to the Dive In. I am your host, Kathleen, and today we have again Kathleen. Hi.
Hi.
I'm excited, so excited to have you back to talk about yet another horror movie, which we both love horror movies, so it's always fun when we get to go see this together. And this was one that like we both, when we left the theater, we were like, I mean, I know for myself, I was like, I don't even know what to say about this movie, which I haven't even said the name yet. So we went and saw Longlegs, which has Nicolas Cage. He surprisingly wasn't in it as much as I thought he would be, considering it was promoted so much as a Nicolas Cage movie. At least I think it was. Maybe I was just excited that he was in it. But yeah, we both kind of like walked away from it just being like, I like I don't even know what thoughts to have at this moment.
100%. It was so unsettling. Like, I was like, oh God, I have to go home now.
Yeah, I mean, like even in the beginning when they did like the opening sequence, they like were like slowly slipping in almost like subliminal messaging with images, but it would pause just long enough where you could kind of see it, and they were just kind of I don't even know if they were technically disturbing images, but the way that they came across and the way they put them in there just made it feel like unsettling. Yeah, it just wasn't a great feeling. But this movie as a whole, I mean, I think we can both agree it was a pretty good like horror thriller-ish kind of movie. It still tapped in a little bit into that supernatural possession type, but it wasn't all about that, which was great. It was refreshing that it wasn't like, okay, we've got a demon, let's call in the priests and the Warrens. Like
Yeah,
it was a
exactly.
nice departure from that because we're trying to figure out like it almost feels like a serial, I mean it is a serial killer movie, but his motives behind it end up being more demonic than I think what we had expected. Um yeah, but it was interesting. I mean, the the lead in this movie is or the main character in this movie is Lee Harker, who is an FBI agent. And off the bat, it was very odd that she was kind of psychic in the beginning. I thought that was an
Yeah,
interesting approach. And that it was a very interesting way to start the movie too. So she's out in like out in the field with this guy. They're looking for this guy who's hiding out who murdered somebody, and they he wasn't was he related to Longlegs in any way? Was he the
I don't think so. I think it was just like a totally different thing. Because I think the reason that they put her on Longlegs' case was because she had known where that guy was. And they were like, oh, we need you for this other case,
yeah.
I
So
think.
yeah, like so her and this apartment were or partner were like out in this development, and he went to go check in one house, and she's just standing in the street, and she's like, it's this one. And he's like, what? And she's like, you should call it in. He's like, we can't just we can't just call stuff in because you have a feeling that this person is at this random house. Like we have cops all or FBI agents like all over the city right now. Like he could be anywhere. And so he was just like, let's just go knock on the door first and check it out. And he knocks on the door and shouts that he's FBI, which I thought was an odd approach. Like, why not just like see if someone could open the door first? That just kind of was odd. But immediately the door opens and he gets shot and killed immediately, just straight in the head. And she has her back to a window, which I just
Yeah, I was like,
I
wait.
was like, this doesn't feel smart because all that person has to do is open the window and you're like they can see or open the blinds and they can see you. It wasn't a best place to put your back to. But yeah, she ends up going in there and the guy is just sitting there with his hands above his head and she's like don't move and he's like okay, which I thought was so strange. Like why shoot one and not the other? Why so defensive and then just so ready to give yourself up? That's why I was curious if he was related to Long Nuts somehow, if he was like the dad or something that somehow was able to break out of the house and then came to or something. But maybe I'm just because like why else would she be psych? I didn't understand the psych
Yeah.
part at all. That
Yeah, they
was
didn't really do a good job of like ever explaining that.
yeah, because it really doesn't come up again, really. Like she like has that connection to Longlegs, which we understand why, but being able to guess numbers and like just being psychic in general didn't seem to make sense.
Yeah. There was like the thing too, as I felt like she could whenever they like I feel like she could always hear like noises when she knew
Yeah.
like Longlegs was around. So I wasn't sure if that was also supposed to be like a part of the like psychic thing because they don't really explain it. So it's like I guess it's just open to interpretation maybe. I don't know.
And like on that point, I did notice too, I thought for the longest time before they actually like showed her mother, I thought her mother was dead. I thought she was
Oh,
talking to
same.
the ghost on the other end of the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could hear like voices and whispers on the other side, but like you said, like if Longlegs was around, you could still hear that noise. So it was,
I
yeah.
also thought at one point that he was like impersonating her mom.
Oh, that's an
Yeah.
interesting thought. That would have been an interesting take. I didn't
Yeah.
even that didn't
But
even come
then
across my mind.
he
Yeah.
was alive the whole time.
He did have a lot of like psycho Buffalo Bills kind of vibes. So
Yeah, he did.
yeah, because they were very much saying like, oh, he's a creepy guy. Like we knew that he was male, but like looking at him, you were kind of like he's dressed very effeminate and has the long hair,
Mhm.
has the makeup. He looks like he's gone through a million plastic surgeons and had them all botch him up. Uh, but everyone knew outright that he was a guy. So it was that's why it very much gave me that Buffalo Bill kind of vibes. Like he was trying to be something that he wasn't, and clearly had some emotional. Who knows what his story is? I kind of like that they didn't go into his story. That's one thing I love when horror movies don't go into every single detail. We just know that he was a Satan worshiping crazy guy, essentially, who just as we learned, he didn't actually murder anybody. He just brought them dolls, which is very odd.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an odd concept. That's not how I thought it was going to go at all. I definitely thought it was going to be strict serial killer with a little bit of odd psychic things because she had a connection, which she did, but it definitely took a turn towards the end with
It
the
did. It got a little more supernaturally than I was expecting. Um, which like it was fine, but I kind of just wanted the serial killer movie. But it ended up working out.
I agree. Yeah. And I also going into this movie, I didn't watch a ton of the trailers because I didn't want anything spoiled. Trailers have been so into just spoiling every single aspect of a movie lately that it's hard to want to sit through one because you'll see everything. And with this one, I didn't know. I don't think they ever really truly show long legs in the trailer. So I thought this was gonna be a pure supernatural,
Mm,
almost like Slender Man kind of movie. And then
that would have
off the
been
bat,
cool.
it would have been really cool. But then off the bat, we're like, oh no, this is some creepy dude kidnapping little girls or something. Like immediately from the opening scene, I was like, this is not gonna be what I thought it was gonna be. Um, but I don't know, it's so odd because this movie's not perfect by any means, but it
No.
still was just unique enough and different enough from so many other horror movies that are out there right now that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what they brought, the ideas they had, even though I didn't 100% love them or thought some parts were weird, but
Yeah, I agree. I also like if you're the kind of horror movie enjoyer that needs like jump scares and stuff,
yeah,
this is not your
no.
movie.
It's a very slow moving
It
movie,
is.
but also a lot of stuff will happen in a very short amount of time as well. Uh yeah, like the you poor thing when you went to the
I know. I
bathroom.
was just about to say that. I was like, literally, so much crap happened when I went to the bathroom. I was like, come on. And
Well,
then, oh,
technically nothing happened. It was just she figured some stuff out. So
Yeah.
I was just like real quick. I was like, oh, she decoded those things and found out that this one girl survived because of she found this pattern that made a triangle, which means the devil, and now they're going to that farm. Like
Yeah.
it happened all within like 3 minutes, but all of it was just like exposition to push the story forward, but it wasn't any actual physical actions that happened. So I was like, you didn't miss anything like fun. You just missed her being like, it's a triangle. I was like, no one caught that in 30 years, so that it was a
Right.
triangle. Okay. They're not very good FBI agents. Also the fact that that guy's daughter, and I knew they were going to do this in the very beginning, but the fact that his daughter's birthday was on the 14th and she was 9 years old, I was like,
I know.
why would you not think that your daughter was at risk here? Like they never brought up like, hey, maybe don't have a birthday party for your daughter. Maybe like go into like safe hiding or something for that one birthday just to make sure nothing happens. But the scene though where Agent Hawker meets his daughter, her partner's daughter, was so funny.
So funny.
And I think they intentionally set it out to be a little comedic because like she like comes in or drives him back home after he drinks too much and he's like, all right, you got to meet my wife and kid, and she just sits there for like a long moment and she's like, do I have to? Like, do I really have to? And he's like, yeah, you do. So she goes in there, and the little girl, she's looking at her, and she's like, "Do you want to see my room?" Which is like such a little girl thing to say. Like, "Do you want to come
Yeah.
see my room? Do you want to like come play Barbies with me?" It doesn't matter how old you are; they will always offer those kind of things.
Yes.
And so she like just again that long pause, and then next scene she's just sitting on the bed next to her. Just looks so uncomfortable. Like, okay, I'm here. Like, I'm doing it. And it's just a funny, adorable, kind of like endearing scene of like, okay, she's clearly uncomfortable, but she's like still a good person, despite
Yeah.
it. Um,
Think it was really interesting how they like took a long time. Well, okay, there's a couple things. I thought it was really interesting that they took a while to actually show him like what he looked
mm,
like because there was a while where like you didn't ever actually see his face,
yeah,
Longleg's face. And then I really liked that after you find out what's going on, that at the beginning, that's just Lee. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, so that was like him trying to like mess with her.
yeah. I I'm surprised that he targeted her though, because everyone else was like a family. They got a husband, a wife, and a
Yeah.
daughter. But she didn't have it didn't seem like she had a husband. So she didn't seem like the right demographic for the people that he was targeting. So it was already odd that that was somebody they chose.
Hmm.
And then as we learn at the very end, like her mother makes a deal with Long Legs, which we also don't know why he's called Long Legs. It was very creepy in the beginning though, where he was just like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I only wore my long legs." And then it just like cuts and you're like, "What? Is this like his
Yeah.
catchphrase? Is this something that we don't know about?" I'm wondering if it's something that ended up on the cutting room floor, but then why name the movie after it?
Hmm.
So it was very interesting that they or I guess he signs his name Long Legs every single time, but they didn't go into any explanation as to why he goes by Long Legs. But yeah, as we know, his her mom makes a deal with him and the devil to do his bidding essentially. But also he they were the only family that like he like tied up the mom too, which was
Yeah.
odd. Everyone else he just brought a doll to. So I don't know why her situation was so different.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after all that work, he would still have to go out, find another family, and then murder them on the same day to make that triangle. So it's in, I don't, I don't know. I don't know if either I don't connect the dots completely or if it is a hole in the plot. Maybe somebody listening knows and can tell me. But yeah, why was she so her family so different? Why was it a different occurrence for them? Um the first time that they came across that doll, though, was very, or hold on, let me back up actually. So there's the scene where she gets the letter from Longlegs, which I'm curious why they decided to do that. How did he know that she was on the case now, and did he want to get caught? Is that why, like, did he want that suffering to end so that he could be done with this part of his life or something? Because he had no reason to give that to her. Like, he would have been
Yeah.
fine if he never gave her a message that decoded all the rest of the messages.
Yep.
But he did anyways, and which led her to decode the messages, which led her to the farmhouse, which led her to the other girl, and to find that creepy life-size realistic looking doll.
Thing was so creepy.
All of them were so
Oh my
creepy. Oh
God.
my gosh. So, fun fact, when I was a kid, everyone else got American Girl dolls, but I used to get these magazines for dolls. I can't remember. I think they're called My Twin. I think is what they were called. And you could legitimately get a doll, like send in your photos, and they send you a doll that looks like you.
Oh
And that
wow.
is, I got that for my birthday one year. I think it's still up in my parents' attic. It is so creepy. There is a picture of me dressed up just like the doll, looking exactly like the doll. It is
Wow.
very weird and very creepy. And
That's
I like
literally that's literally
that,
what
that's
these dolls
literally what this is.
are.
Yeah, yes. Mine was a lot smaller though, and does not have some weird metal ball that's has the energy of the devil in it.
That's good.
Whatever
We
that
love
was.
that.
Yeah, at least I don't think so. I don't know. We'll find out if I become an FBI agent.
True. Oh man, those dolls.
Oh my gosh, they're so creepy. This was
Like,
like
and
a, yeah.
oh, sorry. Like, I like dolls. Like, I think they're cool looking. I'm like one of the few people that actually likes dolls. Like, I'm one of those weirdos. But those were too creepy for me.
I just didn't understand the one. I thought there was gonna be some weird thing where the one family where the girl survives, the farmhouse that they go to. I think they call it the camera farmhouse, or I can't remember what that was called. It was like something weird, like camera or Canon or something to do with cameras, and that's all I could remember. Every time I heard it, I was like, what is this farm? Where are we going? Um, but where they found that doll, and they like kind of like showed flashbacks, and they had the girl that survived. I thought that was a weird situation. They sent the girl to school, or she just left. I'm assuming maybe she just decided to leave on her own because she's like, my parents are being whacked today. Bye. But
Right.
why was she not like possessed by the doll? Why was she not like completely enthralled with it as the other girl was at the end, as we saw? And then I have so many questions now. I didn't even realize I had this many questions. Uh,
I've been like thinking about this podcast and I was like, what are we gonna talk about? I was like, because I still don't know how I feel about this movie.
I don't know either. I feel like,
Like,
was
I
it
know I
good?
enjoyed it, but like there's a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. Definitely when they showed those flashbacks, I thought they were going to be more. I thought the family was obsessed with the doll or something, or the doll was like their second daughter, because I thought she had a sibling, but maybe they
Yeah.
didn't. I don't know, but the I thought the other doll was her quote unquote sibling, and they were like worshiping that doll or something weird. Because like even the priest came in at one point, looked at the doll, tried to say hi, and I was like, oh no, that's not a person, and like turned around, and then he got an axe to the neck. But yeah, I thought it was like some weird surrogate thing, and that's why that other girl survived, was because this wasn't actually her sister or something. And but then it just turns out no, that doll was her. And in essence, like it literally kind of was a voodoo thing, because the moment that they lock her into the floorboards of the attic is when she goes catatonic and goes into like a mental state or whatever, and can't talk to
Yeah.
anybody. But the moment they uncover the doll, oh, she wakes up. So it's kind of weird how the dolls impact those girls, but she was able to walk away from that doll. it leaves a little inconsistencies there, I feel like, because the other girl at the end, I can't remember her name, but the daughter of the other agent,
I think it was Ruby.
Ruby. Yeah, she couldn't leave that doll aside, like did not want to let go of it. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. I don't know what they were going with there. It does feel like they were kind of combining a lot of different horror movie aspects too. Like it was a little bit of like with the father killing everyone, that was very Amityville horror. And then we have like Longlegs, who's kind of like Buffalo Bill, and in essence. Um, and then we've got obviously demon possession and like you know, worshiping the devil, which is a host of tons of other movies. So it's kind of like they kind of just threw everything into a pot in a way. But
Kind
I
of.
kind of I like the way that I like the tone of the movie. I think is a lot of it. Like the tone. I like that they don't tell you everything, but also they could have made a little bit more of a consistent story, because even if I didn't understand everything, at least it would make sense across the board with like the dolls or something. And yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks that when they opened, I don't know if they ever opened that one girl's little brain, as they called it, in the doll that they found, because she still ended up jumping. And I'm like, if they opened it, wouldn't that release her from his grasp? I thought that's what that did. But
I
now,
thought so too.
yeah, but she still ended up jumping, which is what he told her to do. And it's just, or she said that if he told her to jump, that she would. And then
Hmm.
she ended up jumping and dying. And I'm like, did he come back and tell her? Or did she was she released and then realized everything that happened and decided to do it? It's I don't know. That was like a weird thing to like bring up. Like there was no I don't think it brought any I don't think it brought the story any further by allowing that to happen or to tell us that it happened.
Also, like the ending. We'll get there. We'll get
I mean, you can talk about the
there.
ending now. We've already brought it up.
I mean,
Uh,
okay. I just like I don't know. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, what's gonna happen? Because
yeah.
her gun wouldn't fire. So it was like, okay, so like what's gonna happen? There's still this doll, like, and then the movie was over, and then you're like, oh shit.
Well, this was one thing, that was one thing I was wondering. So like the final scene, she like confronts her, finds out that her mother is the accomplice and that the guy literally was living in her mom's basement this whole time.
The whole time.
The entire time.
Like,
And
oh God.
how creepy is that?
So creepy.
Uh, but yeah, so she had been a part of it, dropped off the dolls to all these families, and then she is like finds out that her mother is going to Agent Carter's house. And so she rushes over there and uh allows Agent Carter to kill his wife, which I thought
Right?
was yeah,
Okay. That's
I
how
thought
I felt about it too. I was like, girl, you know what's about to happen. Like, stop it.
yeah, like her mom
She
sat there and
just
yeah, her mom
lets
sat
it
there and said,
happen.
"Oh, she's already dead." I was like, "She's alive. She's right there. Just stop him from doing it." Like what?
Like, shoot him.
Yeah, shoot him then before he stabs his wife to death. But then he just comes out of the kitchen and is started going towards I don't remember if he started going towards uh the her or Ruby, but so she just shoots him after she shoots her mom and yeah, kills him as well, and she goes to shoot the doll and can't. And I've been like I was trying to read a little bit up on it on Reddit, and a lot of people are going back and forth as to whether she is now taking over Longlegs' role or not. I didn't get I like part of me kind of thought that because she wasn't able to destroy the doll, but they didn't do anything that would allude to that fact. Like they didn't show anything afterwards. They didn't like have her make any weird faces. Like there was nothing that showed that like, oh, she's next now to continue this. Like she has no reason to continue it. She's not protecting anybody. She's not a psychopath that worships Satan. Uh, so it to me that doesn't make any sense. I don't think they alluded to that, but
I don't either. I also felt like she wouldn't do that. I don't know. It seemed like she was like pretty against murder until like that it really bothered me that she let the husband kill the wife. Like that annoyed me. I was like, okay, you got here in time to stop that and you didn't. So maybe that's why people think that.
yeah, I think that I don't know. Yeah, I think they should have already had her killed at that point when she walked in, because then it would have given her more motive to go after her mom quicker and then after the agent. Or if her mom stopped her from going into the other room, that would have made sense as well. Uh, but her just outright letting it happen and then turning on her mom, I was like, come on, like you had the means to stop. You knew exactly what was happening. You knew what was going on. Like, why not stop it? And yeah. I also thought, like, just thinking about like her mom and the dolls, like that brain thing was so weird. And when she shot the doll that looked like her and it made her like pass out or whatever, I thought that was so strange. All of that was very odd. I I don't understand. I still don't understand that brain fully. Like, what did he, how did he make those? What was actually in it? Like, how did it control these girls? It was very strange. And then they kept saying, like, the girls, like, they said it was murder, but they couldn't say how the children died, I think is what they said in the beginning. They're like, oh, yeah, the dad killed the wife and then himself, but they couldn't figure out how the girls died. I was like, this is so weird. Like, what? And if you're destroying the brain, wouldn't that technically kill them? But maybe it released them. It was a little too many questions for me. And then I don't think we talked about when they did finally catch Longlegs, which he was very much a creepy presence. I do wish they had involved him a little bit more. He served a much smaller role than I had expected. Yeah, because we have him in the very beginning. We see him like introduce himself to a little girl, but we only see like the bottom half of his mouth. And they like really started out creepy with that. And now like we're searching for him. They finally come across him, and she's able to find means like they match his handwriting, signature, autograph, whatever. They're able to match that and say like, okay, yes, he's the guy that has been coming into these houses and killing them, but we have no physical evidence that he did kill them. Um, and she goes in to talk to him, and he just literally kills himself by slamming his head down on a table over and over and over again, which I'm assuming it was the 70s. How did they know that he was doing that? They all ran in, and they all ran in too late, but they had a giant camcorder, which I know did not have live feed. So how do they know he was doing that? Like, were they maybe they were standing by the window, called for a bunch of backup, and then walked in? But why leave her in there by herself? I don't know.
Yeah, that was I was like very Silence of the Lambs of them to like leave her in there with that guy. It's like, okay, well, why would you do that? Come on now.
Yeah, I know. I was like, is he handcuffed to the table? Like, you guys are just sitting there nonchalantly. There's no guard in there. There's nothing. They just had a camera already ready and on him, and that was it. Yeah, it was gruesome that he killed himself that way, and I don't know. I do wish they had involved him more and less of her mom. Like, I don't think that was a necessary plot point. They could have just had her talking to a dead person. Uh, like her mom still could have made a deal and then died, and then she finds that out later or something that her soul is promised or something. But or her mom saved her soul by sacrificing herself, something along those lines.
Yeah. The
But
mom was more involved in all the murders than I would have liked.
yeah, I don't understand what Legs involvement was in the murders other than making the dolls and leaving a note. Because then she delivered the doll. So
Yeah, I
eh,
also like not everyone would have been like, oh, okay, I'll take this gift from the church.
Yeah.
Like
Wouldn't you,
the way that they all accepted it, it was like,
yes.
okay, someone would have been like, I don't want a fucking gift from the goddamn church.
Yeah. Well, not only
So,
that, but how, like, does everyone that you're going to go to the same church? Do they see you there at church? Isn't it creepy that the church made a doll that looks exactly like their daughter, especially if it's a church you've never been to before?
right? On their birthday? Like, how do you know when my daughter's birthday is?
Yeah. Like, do they just have a list of 9-year-old girls on with birthday on the
The
14th at the
13th?
church?
Like, that was so yeah, I really wanted it to be more of like a serial killer movie. That's what I wanted, was like him to be like creepy. I was expecting more of like a Sounds of the Lambs type movie. Um, and then it wasn't really like that, but I still enjoyed it because I feel like the more we talk about it, the more I sound like I didn't like it. But like I did. I promise I enjoyed it. It was like a solid horror movie, but it was just not what I was expecting.
Agreed. Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here like asking all these questions and saying like how this was weird and that was weird, but horror,
But
I
there were
feel like
so many questions.
there are so many questions, but I feel like horror is one of those movies where you can't just sit down and be like, "Oh, they did amazing imagery with this and with that, and they made me feel great because of that." I'm just like, "Wait, I have questions," but they also they did amazing when it came to like the tone of the movie, the timing of the movie, the acting was really good. Like
I love Micah Monroe.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I think they
Great.
did a great job. I didn't even know that was Kiernan Shipka. We both agreed that we thought it was
We
McKenna
thought
Grace.
McKenna Grace. I was like, oh, that's
So
McKenna Grace. And then I think you like Googled it afterwards and you were like, no, it's Kieran Shipka. And I was like, what?
yeah,
They
I
look the
know.
same to me.
Kiernan Shipka over here playing a 9-year-old in her 20s. Like, I
Right.
wish.
Oh my goodness. Must be nice.
Right. But yeah, it was honestly a really good put together story. I do think there's a lot more questions than I would have liked. I agree. I think it could have either gone fully supernatural or fully like Silence of the Lambs um serial killer. I do wish they had leaned into serial killer. We haven't had a good one like that in a long time, and this was would have been a great opportunity. Like he still could have been a devil worshiper. Like I mean, you didn't need to take that away, but you could have lost the supernatural aspect of it and been like, she still could be psychic. I don't care. Maybe they have some weird link like Harry Potter and Voldemort, where she just knew because she like had known him once or something weird. But it just yeah, it still didn't. I wish it had more. Of Longlegs in it, less of her mom making a deal, yeah, because it just she didn't fit the profile, in my opinion, based on what they were saying, so
I agree because like the whole point was that it was supposed to be someone who like the family could trust and like that the family would feel comfortable around. I'm sorry, but her mom was weird. Like her mom was creepy and weird. Like if that lady came to my door and was like, "Hey, I got a doll for your daughter's birthday," I would shut the door in her face because she was a creep. She was weird, she was creepy. Like I did not think that she was the appropriate person because what I thought was going to happen was that maybe like Lee was helping him the whole time. And like that she like had like infiltrated the FBI to like make sure like they don't get found out or whatever. But then they went the mom route and it's like, okay, well the mom's like obviously crazy at this point. Like she was talking nonsense the whole time. I don't know. I agree with you. I just think that that was not the route to
yeah.
go because
There
yeah.
there was a point where I thought, "Oh, is Lee a part of this?" But she just doesn't
Yeah.
know this, like, she's unconsciously helping him and has no clue that she is. I thought it
Hmm.
was, like, one of those things possibly,
Same.
and I thought her mom was insane, like, she seemed like she grew up with a mom that was insane and not somebody that could be trusted as a nun, so if you're gonna let some strange nun into your house, I don't care what year it is. In the 70s, they had plenty of serial killers. Like they should
Right?
know not to just be like, a doll?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Um, but yeah, these I don't know. I think there was definitely there's room for improvement. If they were ever to remake this movie, like keep the set design, the tone, the actors all the same. Just change like that supernatural aspect, and I think you'll have a home run. Like I think it would be
Mhm.
really good. Um, yeah.
Yeah, because that's like one of the things, Mike Monroe, she's in my like other favorite horror movie, which is It Follows. And one of the things that makes that movie so good is that it knows what it is immediately, you know? And I feel like that's the problem with this movie is like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. Like, do I want to be a serial killer movie? Do I want to be a demonic movie? Like, pick one, you know, like that movie was a demonic movie and it knew it from the beginning, and you knew it from like the opening scene, you know. And with this movie, I thought from the opening scene, I was like, okay, this is straight serial killer, we're going for it. And then it wasn't that, and it was like, come on, that's what I wanted. Because the opening scene is so strong.
Yes. Oh my gosh, no, they did such a great job. Even the closing scene where he's like, well, on the camcorder being like, "Oh, hail Satan." Like all of that was great. All of Nick Cage's scenes were awesome, but I don't know what in their heads, like I don't know when they made that decision of just changing it. I don't know if they were doing it for shock value or to try to be different, but they were different enough. They were like on a good like we want these kind of movies back. Like we don't want the same things. People aren't going to the movies. You need something different to bring them in, but it doesn't need to have some weird twist where it's demonic. We're like, "Oh wow, who would have seen that coming?" Like
Yeah,
we don't
because
want
like
that.
exactly, like it just, I don't know, it felt like unnecessary. Like
Agree.
it didn't need that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It's kind of like oh gosh, what show was that? Project Runway, where they say like, always take one thing off before you walk out the door. Like
Yeah.
you could have just taken away that supernatural stuff before making the movie and you would have had so, like you didn't need that much. Like it was a simple
Exactly.
movie. It was made simply, like the characters were simple. You didn't need this weird twist or anything at the very end of it.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
it's like what you said earlier. It easily could have just been the straight serial killer movie with him still being a devil worshiper. That could have been a thing. You know, like there are weird people that do that. So like that could have just been a part of like why he was killing all these people. It was like, oh, okay, I am a devil worshiper. But that the supernatural side of it kind of turned me off a little bit. I was like,
Ag-
oh.
Agreed. Yeah, especially since it's like set in like kind of a 70s esque. I don't think they ever confirmed, unless I wasn't paying enough
Yeah.
attention, but like a 70s esque kind of scene, like that was like back in like during the Satanic Panic. It would have been great even if he like none of it was true. It's like, oh, he's doing this anyways so that he can like praise the devil or whatever, because that made sense. Like, okay, yeah, you kill in this triangle pattern because it creates that trinity for Satan or whatever.
There are
Like,
crazy people who think like that. So like
yeah,
you could have easily done that.
yeah.
But one of the things too, oh sorry, I'm bringing up It Follows again.
Oh no, you're
Sorry.
fine. Go for it.
But the one thing that I did like about this movie, which is the same thing that It Follows does, is that it never tells you what time period you're in. It's very like vague and you kind of know, but like you're not really sure. And I enjoy that for movies. Like, yeah, don't tell me what time period we're in. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't need to. Yeah, and I also whenever they try to do modern with iPhones and texting, it never it never goes well. It just does not go well, and it's like that says a lot about our world if we can't make a movie that's modern because the texting doesn't translate. No one wants to watch someone watch a screen. Uh, I think is what we've learned. But so we've been doing like going for this older like we knew that it wasn't modern because of that, but uh it still felt modern in a kind of way. Like even though we didn't have cell phones, like it didn't matter what time period it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I
Yeah,
agree with you.
yeah. But yeah. Any other closing thoughts? I guess like would you want to see this again? Like is this something that you see yourself watching a few more times?
I think because I already told my roommates on after we watched it, I was like, "Oh yeah, I like this movie." I was like, "It's not really scary." I was like, "But it's really unsettling." and I think you guys would like it because that's my thing. Okay, I do have one gripe. My one gripe is that I unfortunately paid attention a little bit to like the trailers and stuff. And I do feel this movie is hyped a little too much, just a bit. Like there's some reviews that are like, this is the scariest movie that's like ever been made. And it's like, okay, well, that's just not a
That's
true
not
statement.
true.
It's really not even that scary. It's really just unsettling and you're kind of anxious the whole time. Like you're just unsettled the whole time you're watching this movie. So I don't love it when like horror movies like hype you up like that. Like when we were watching the trailers for the one movie Cuckoo, I think. And you and I were like, "Oh, is it actually going to be like that scary?" Because I feel like every time you tell me how scary a movie is, it's just like not scary. So that was my only gripe with this movie is while the marketing is outstanding, they did a great job with the marketing. Um it's not the scariest movie you're ever gonna see. Like,
Yeah.
it's
No.
just,
They did an amazing, I don't know if it was the music or
the music's
the
great.
acting choices, like just like the way that they pause and they shot the scenes and they edited it together, like that unsettling feeling isn't necessarily because of things we watched, but it's because of like the scene that they were able to create. And not a lot of movies can do that. Like they'll try to do like that scary music and then something pops out, but like this movie didn't do that. Like they just left you feeling uncomfortable based on the dialogue and the tone and the lighting and the like just everything else behind it. And they did an amazing job because of that. Like I not like story aside, that just left you feeling like, oh, I'm very uncomfortable just because of this. Like
Mhm. Which
um
is that's one of the reasons I
yeah,
really liked it because
yeah.
I love movies, I love art, I like seeing like different acting choices. The music was great. And there was never any point where this movie is like trying to jump scare you, which I enjoy because I don't like jump scares. I feel like they're really cheap. Unless like I'm going to a movie that like I expect a jump scare. Like if I'm going to like, I don't know, like Night Swim, then yeah, okay, we know there's gonna be like a million jump scares because that's what that kind of movie is. The movie is so funny. Um But, like, I don't know. I also, which we've already talked about, Nicolas Cage just really needed to be in this movie way more.
Yeah, he did
Like,
such a good job.
he
Like
was
he really
amazing.
did.
He was
Yeah.
so good.
I mean, honestly, other than like one or two shots, you really couldn't tell that that was him.
He was, like, unrecognizable,
Yeah, it was odd. Like I kind of part of me wishes that they had waited to say that like, oh hey, by the way, Nicolas Cage is in this. Like they
right?
should have just like held off and like had people be like, wait, that was Nick Cage, and then let the fire start burning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have brought people in more than being like, oh, here's this movie with Nick Cage, and then going in and being like, oh, he's not in it that much. I think it would have been better to like reverse it a little and let people, or like even like the social media, like the fake profiles where they go on and they're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, Nicolas Cage was in this movie. How crazy. Go see him in a horror movie. Like, and then just let it spread that way. Like I think that would have been a good marketing for that alone, because I think it would have drawn people in if they didn't think he was like the main villain in this. And yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely movies like this and, stuff like Pearl and movies like that where it kind of irritates me that like awards hate horror movies because so many horror movies are like they have amazing acting and they have amazing like art direction and music, but like it all gets overlooked and it's so kind
No,
of frustrating.
I agree. And there was a time period where they were winning like back in like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. They were the ones winning the awards. And I don't know why it took such a big turn. I don't know if people think that they became cheap and campy because typically they are on a cheaper budget. But it is it's a very hard style to get into and to do well. So if you would think that there would be more accolades for it because it's not easy to do. It's not easy to act scared when you're not scared. Especially like authentically when you're able to like Jenna Oh my gosh.
Ortega.
Wednesday. Is it Ortega
Yeah.
who plays Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jenna Ortega, when I have not seen Pearl, but I saw X, her screaming in that alone was like just so realistic. Like her face when she does it is like that is amazing acting there to be able to like scream with horror. Like if I don't know if you've ever tried to like actually scream
Yeah.
scared. Like I can't do
I
it on
can't do it.
command. Like
Absolutely not.
I mean, if you give me some alcohol and then put me through a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights, I will scream quite a bit, but that's from real fear.
Right? Yeah, there were like multiple times in this film where Micah Monroe's character just was like petrified. And it's like I don't know how you do that. Like how do you look like that? Like when her mom like shoots the FBI agent, she looks out the window and she like puts her hand over her mouth. Like that she was like that was like pure terror,
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
you know?
that
Like
was when I was coming back from the bathroom. I'm literally walking up the
yeah,
stairs backwards. I'm like, whoa, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
you're right. That's why I didn't say anything to you because I was like, okay, well, she can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like her mom just killed someone, so
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was intense. Because that was yeah, she just took a shotgun and just
just killed that lady.
yeah,
And then you were like, oh, it's the mom.
yeah,
I
a little bit. I was like,
was like,
oh,
oh, she's the accomplice.
why?
That's yeah. That's kind of when the movie took the like, oh, okay, you went that way.
Yeah, I will say it was only like the last like what 15 minutes. So it
Yes,
wasn't the
that is
majority
true.
of the movie. But yeah, it was kind of like that feeling like, oh, okay. And then it went into like demonic possession. You're like, okay, okay. But I don't know. Did you ever go see what is it called? Late Night with the Devil?
I
Did you
haven't seen that, no. I was afraid that okay, so like I don't usually like possession-y movies, which I didn't know that this movie was gonna go that way. But I didn't see that movie because I thought it might freak me out.
yeah, it does have possession. I mean, they advertise in it that it has possession. Like they bring in a possessed girl, or someone who's claiming to be possessed. And it, I will say, but that movie and this movie both have like that same kind of like leave you feeling unsettled. I think neither of them are perfect, but I think they are a wonderful step and like such a like they're both very good movies and they leave you feeling very like just unsettled, which is how a horror movie should make you feel. Like you if you're leaving feeling happy and good about yourself at the end of a horror movie, you did not see a good horror movie. Like if you were laughing through all of it, Night Swim, then you is it
Oh
really a
man.
horror movie?
Oh, Night Swim. We had such a good crowd for Night Swim though.
Yeah, we did have a good crowd for Night Swim. We had a good crowd for this movie too. Everyone was just so
Did.
like I think they were just kind of like unsettled, like, oh my gosh, what is about to happen? Like I think that's how we all felt, like what's about to happen. There was one point though, wait, some kid tripped
Yeah.
over something.
That
Like
was funny.
everyone just started laughing.
Yeah, so I liked our Long Legs crowd. Everyone was like really
Yes.
respectful and quiet and it was nice.
Agreed. Yeah, I think we had a really good crowd. But yeah, this was a great movie, and I would love to hear people's comments, what they think about this movie, if you've seen it, because it's yeah, it's just very unsettling, very interesting. If you guys have any thoughts as to like the questions we have, and you know the answers, please comment.
Thank
Um, but yeah, thanks for joining me, Kathleen, and thanks to
thank you.
everyone listening. Bye.